Hey guys, it's Penelope in London. Happy New Year to you all. I'm going to talk today about the new moon in Capricorn, and this chart is, if you can see, I'll just get my pointer and I will show you what we've got going on. So this chart is from, if you look at AstroSeek. So I'm also going to show you my own chart, which I'll do from astro.com. And then I've got SolarFire, which I love using. If you follow me, you know what that is. If you don't, it's where you'll be able to see the planets move, not literally in the sky, but on the chart. So when we look at Capricorn, this chart is, you can see here, it's quite simplistic. It's got a T-square going on here, which is quite interesting. Lilith, and we've got Lilith there. We've got Mars, and we've also got Neptune. So this is beyond this realm, beyond the five senses. Neptune is way out there. We've got, you know, melatonin as well. It's our sleep time. It's literally beyond the five senses would be that, you know, like a virus, we can't see it, as an example. It's the unknown. And there's a lot more to it. It's not just about viruses. It's also about beauty, and it's the in Pisces as well. So they're connected. Neptune is Pisces related. So we've also got Mars in Sagittarius. So this T-square, and some people may not bring up Lilith, but Lilith is to do with if we go back to the basics of Lilith, she was in the Garden of Eden in the story, and in mythology, maybe not in the Bible, but the idea that she threw off patriarchal rules. She would, if we can say that of that time, she refused to do as they're told and lay below Adam. So as a result, she was tossed out or stormed off, probably a bit of both. And I won't make it up as I go along though, but she basically then, Adam was given Eve, who was more compliant. So this is very interesting as well, that we have that T-square, that tension, because Mars is the direction we want to go. We've got Mars, which is in Sagittarius, Lilith in Gemini, and this is communication, you know, and the collective right now. I see astrology as a form of psychology. So I'm not a psychologist or anything like that, but I do follow the work of Carl Gustav Jung, and I see the connection between the planets and the archetypes and the way we do description, and we describe how we feel and the world. So when we look at a chart, what we're really looking at as a collective chart is the way humanity is feeling, you know, the feelings that come up in us, because our feelings are the creators of our reality, for better or for worse. And we've got the moon, which is in Capricorn here. This is a new moon, and you can see also the sun is on top. So if it was a full moon, the moon would be opposite the sun. So it's worth knowing that. We've also got Venus retrograde. We've got Pluto in Capricorn here. We've got the sun, the moon, Venus, all in Capricorn. So let's have a quick look at Capricorn, and then I'm going to leave this chart and go over to SolarFire in a moment. But for now, if we look at Capricorn, what are the key words? What does Capricorn mean? So we know it's related with Saturn. There's a deep, connection there. And it's our social position. If we look that Capricorn is the 10th house in astrology, it's the social position, it's discipline, it's also punishment, it's totalitarian. And we can see that last leg of Pluto moving through the sign of Capricorn. It's at 25 degrees, and in 2024 it will have left, and it will be in the sign of Aquarius for 20 years. So that we got that totalitarian feel. We have fear. We've got the judgment, authority. We've got maturity as well. Saturn is the, rules and is the father image, and not particularly birth father, but the father image. It's to do with our older age. It's also to do with our bone structure, the teeth as well. Saturn, that is. It's to do with where we can have repression, oppression. So wherever a Capricorn is in our own charts, for me, Capricorn is in my second house. So we can see it's not all doom and gloom Capricorn, but we're going to get, it can be grief also. It can be conformity, paralysis. It's where we can be rigid and have isolation. It's man-made law. In evolutionary astrology, we would say, natural law would be Sagittarius, and man-made law is Capricorn. It's ancestral, it's tradition. Like Christmas is a tradition. It didn't always exist. We've got also guilt, self-defeat, futility, It's our boundaries, it's structure and form, which is to, you know, the Saturn part also. It's patriotism, nationalism, politics, big one. You know, where health right now has become a political matter. It's very interesting watching what different countries are doing. It's our responsibility. It can where we feel burdened. It can be a fall from grace, and it's our conditioning by family and society. So when we look at the chart, we would have the opposite, which would be the sign of Cancer. And in the sign of Cancer, we got the home, the family, the mother, the womb, the breasts, you know, the nurturance. That's what I'm trying to get at there. So it's quite loaded when we look at the meanings, and when we can understand the meanings of the planets and what they mean and what the houses mean, we can begin to integrate the entire chart. There's so much to integrate because we would also then look at degrees and such like. But if you're starting out, you know what you're looking at. I'm going to also look at a bit about our feelings at the moment, because I feel like our feelings have been pretty squashed and we can be quite rigid. You know, we've got the Venus currently in Capricorn as well. So there can be a lot of rigidity in us where we're not, you know, maybe expressing with that Venus right now, we're holding back. And if we look at Venus in Capricorn, we've got a need for structure. This is Venus in Capricorn, need for structure, routine. It's to do with authorities, limits and boundaries. It's the wisdom, it's the parental viewpoint, rules, reflection on experiences, acceptance of society, societal interests, emotional security, our definition of boundaries, and also expectations, relating via expectations, and then also stability in our school and home routines. It's freedom to play or relax within the structure of a routine and defined roles and cause and effect, seeing action result in natural consequences. So I'm going to do a video on Venus later in the week, but definitely I would say that the important thing is that when we begin to look at our own chart, I'm just going to flip over to my chart and make sure you can see before I go on. New share, make sure I'm sharing. So if you can see here, we've got the sign of, you know, Capricorn for me is my second house pointer. So if you bring up your chart, this is astro.com. You can bring up your chart from AstroSeek, astro.com. You need your time of birth, but for, you know, date, time, place. And what we would do is that we would see for me that I'm Scorpio rising at 27 degrees and I've got intercepted houses, and my second house starts at 5 degrees Capricorn. So the moon has fallen there for me. So it's about my needs and values currently. I'm also with that Venus retrograde. It's going to go back until the 29th of January, and it will, you know, retrograde, which I will do a video in a couple of days on this retrograde Venus, because it's going to be in the sign, my second house, for a long time anyway. For you, wherever that is, that's what you're working on. You're going inward. It's review, rewind, and release. That's what we're doing when we see this retrograde. A lot of people can be afraid of retrogrades, but there's nothing to be afraid of, because really it's a reflection, it's a description. We have free will how we move through life, you know, with whatever's happening. Something I heard on fear earlier, I just want to grab a bit of paper that I left over there. Right, got it. So we've got, for me, I'm going to tell you what this new moon is doing for me. So then we would look at the aspects. So you'd dig deeper into your own chart. So my moon is opposition to what's called vertex there. You can see this is vertex. I'm not going to go into that today, but the moon is, you know, in an opposition. That's 12 and that's 10 degrees. So I've got 10 degrees up there and that's 12. So then we begin to see what else. So the moon is octile to my ascendant. So an octile is a 45-degree angle. So the moon is about 45 degrees away from my ascendant. So that would then be, what does that mean to me? A new moon runs for the entire month of you know, the entire month until the next, you know, cycle of the moon. And also full moon reflects on the 2 weeks. It's a reflection of the 2 weeks that are coming up when that happens. My moon is quintile to Chiron. So Chiron for me, which is a wound, it's a quintile, which is a 72-degree, you know, 72 degrees apart. So this for me is something to do with, you know, it's artistic, but it's also to do with healing. And then we can see the house that it's in for me. It's in my 4th house. And then also the moon is in my 2nd. So we know it's to do with my inner values. We've got the sun is opposition to vertex as well, because it's going to be the same going on there. And the sun is octile to my ascendant. So the sun is in a, so it's an octile or a semi-square, it would be called. You can choose either name, is 45 degrees. And so there's some tension going on there for me. And then again, the sun is quintile to my Chiron. So there's something around healing for me that's going on. And it's, you know, behind the doors, in fact, the 12th house is more behind closed doors, but this is at the deepest part of my being. And I've also got Neptune on my IC, you can see here right now. And it's been swinging there for about 1.5 years, 2 years. And that's moving off because that Neptune has also been squaring to my moon. So that's Neptune is currently 20 degrees. And it's also in a beautiful trine to my natal Neptune. So, you know, when you look at a chart, it's not all doom and gloom. You have to really dig, and it's not to be afraid of in astrology ever. It's a way of describing and a descriptive. The most beautiful thing is that when we, you know, when I bring up a chart and I talk to people, with people, we begin to unravel our lives and any hurts and wounding that's gone on for us. So now I'm going to go over to solar fire, and I'm going to show you some upcoming stuff. So hopefully you can see this. I won't know because I can't hear you, so I'm going to double check. Okay, so what we've got now is solar fire. Now, the beautiful thing about solar fire, you see here, this is the moon up here. So now in the UK, I'm a few hours after the new moon. It's now 10 p.m. in the UK. So what I'm going to do is go hours ahead, because this happened at 16:32 in the UK. So that would have been at 10:32 a.m. in California, and then 5 hours behind in New York. So that would have been maybe about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And then clearly if you're in Australia, then it's ahead. So it's worth knowing that it's different times for different people, but all at the same time, but depending where you wake up, what country you're in. So if I go hours, if you haven't seen this before, this is the sun, and this is the sun and the moon, the sun and the moon. So if I go hours ahead and I go to 10:32 p.m. it is here now, so roughly it's 4 hours, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right now the moon is here, so we can see, you know, the moon is moving. It's quite beautiful. The moon is going to move over Venus overnight, then it will be conjunct Pluto. We've still got a conjunction with this, you see this Venus Pluto. So this is quite deep stuff, the Venus Pluto stuff. And in evolutionary astrology, which I can refer you to, would be that when we're looking at Venus, I might read you a little bit from stuff I've been working on. When Venus is retrograde, it's basically where we are looking at, you know, going inward, and it's because it's, when it's retrograde, it's to do with Taurus anyway. It's important that we understand that, you know, so if we look for, you know, that Venus is ruled by Taurus, and the Taurus archetype is about self-reliance and self-sufficiency. So firstly, we would want to take that into account, that the Taurus archetype is to do with our self-reliance, self-sufficiency. So, you know, for me, it's in the second house, so that doubles that up. And also through the archetype, we become aware of our inner resources and our capabilities that will allow us to establish self-reliance on both a physical and emotional level. So really it's, you know, and it's in Capricorn. So if we remember that, so we're looking for self-reliance. So it probably may have quietened down a lot of us. What I find as well, and, you know, that when Venus goes retrograde, which it does about every 2 years, it is a time when people, you know, can show up from our past in order to resolve something, a resolution. We could think, oh my God, that person again. Or we could be, you know, we could be happy, you know, maybe that something's being resolved with somebody else. And it's also self-reliance on both a physical, emotional level. In order to learn these lessons, we need to experience being thrown back. So we're thrown back upon ourselves, which is a retrograde as well. And with that, we learn not to become too dependent on others or allow others to become too dependent on us. And this is really important because, you know, we can get really stuck in being overly reliant, like we are right now, on governments. You know, there's a lot of people that through this period of not being able to work and haven't gone back to work, and we can get too comfortable and cozy thinking that the government, which is, you know, Capricorn, Pluto, no, sorry, Pluto's up there in the 10th house, we can become over reliant, feeling all cozy and safe. But whilst we're feeling all of that cozy and safeness, for some of us, not all of us, clearly, because it's going to be dependent on what country we're in and our resources as well, and whether a country does look after us, because in the USA, you know, you need private medical care. In the UK, you don't. So it very much is geographically dependent on what we're experiencing. But it would be a case of that if we sort of get lazy, which can happen with the Taurian archetype. I'm not saying Taurus are lazy, because I've got Taurus North Node, so don't take that as literal. But it's like, I think Jeff Wolf Green said of Pluto, who wrote Pluto, Evolutionary Astrology, it's like the frog in the well syndrome. He said the frog in the well, which means if you're a frog in a well and you've got your resources down there, like the flies fly in and you've got, it's nice and damp and, you know, there's not too much sunlight or whatever, you can feel quite cozy and you just think, I'm going to stay in the well. And the problem with this is that if we, you know, think that we're just going to be looked after, a lot of rules and regulations are changing right now, without us being aware of them, that are not beneficial to us in humanity. And I was quite shocked the other day. I was in a group of people, and not shocked at the people, but just, you know, how news gets fed around the world. So it was a group of people that, you know, are in London. And I mentioned the Fauci. I said, oh, do you know who Fauci is? And none of them did. And that actually, because I do a lot of social media work, you know, and a lot of YouTube stuff, I'm aware of who he is. But, you know, there are people in the UK who are not. Now, that's quite shocking if you think about it. So whilst we think everybody's on the same soul journey as us or understands everything as we do, we've all got different needs. We're all on our soul journey. And we can be at this time in a lot of fear as well, because we don't know what the future holds and we can get stuck in the mud. So we've got to watch out. Now, the other thing that's happening is that, or we could want to stay stuck, you know, and just think, oh, just, you know, I'm comfortable. And we don't want to do that. We want to start looking for people that are like-minded so that we're not isolating and overly isolating. It's good to go inward, but we need to start living again. And we need to start building new structures, because that Pluto will leave Capricorn. And when it does, we're in a new time. So now we can see that many, many new structures are being built. And, you know, there's some great people out there. There's somebody I follow Robert Malone, who invented the platform, not the platform, but the mRNA. So you might like to look up who that is. We've all got different knowledge. So we have different understanding about, you know, what we do around our health issues as well. And we're all different. So some of us will come from fear. Some of us will come from the fact that we only listen to the news or, you know, local media, not social, but local news stations. And we will take that as being written in stone, whatever's being told to us. So unless we're willing to open up our minds, which I'm not saying I'm better than anybody else, you know, we're all living ultimately in our own world. But, you know, there's a lot of healing work to do. A lot of us need to look at our shadow. There's a big, huge divide going on between the injected and unjected. I'm going to say that way. And the reason I'm saying that is so that I look after my channel. Certain words, you know, get you looked at. So the point is that, you know, we don't know who is right or who is wrong. This whole Gemini thing that's been going on, you can see the North Node in Gemini here. And what we have with that is that the North Node in Gemini has been about where it's been representative of a quest to understand interactions between each other. And it's where we've had to learn to leave behind our varied belief systems, as you know, also, and so that we find a viable form of communication. So we've been very confused over the last year, last year and a half, because we know many people have been shut down, removed from social media platforms, not allowed to speak. So, you know, definitely, gentleman, Robert Malone, he had his Twitter account of 500,000 followers removed the other day. So you may not know who that is. You may need to Google it, but I'll leave it there. But you know, he's trying to put a message across that's healthy, in my opinion, but somebody else might think he's, you know, not. So each to their own. The North Node in Gemini, so this quest to learn to see life from other people's point of view and become adept in the art of communication. So we've been trying at this point to become adept in the art of communication altogether. So it's definitely made us communicate more, but it's definitely also sent us off into a divide. And that's the Aquarian energy that we've got going on there with the Saturn Aquarius, and Jupiter was in Aquarius. It's just moved into the sign of Pisces, which is very beautiful. So if we look at this is where we're going to seek meaning in life deep from within ourselves. And it's also, you know, if we take the idea that it's in Pisces more than, you know, it's more of, there may be some despairing moments where we've got to dig deep in order to, you know, sort of ramp up that optimism, because with what's going on, we can lose our optimism and become sort of stagnant. And we don't want to do that, because humanity really, in working together, we can build great stuff. You know, we need cleaner food, we need cleaner water, we need cleaner educational systems, whatever I mean by that. I know what I mean by that. I mean, you know, aligned, healthy. You know, when I think of all of these kids that have had to sit in classrooms for an entire year wearing masks, you know, these poor little ones, and it doesn't make any sense to me. So I'm not anti-masks or whatever, but when you're spending all day in a room with somebody, you know, how much protection it's like we followed along without really thinking for ourselves. There's been a lot of dogma. When we got Jupiter in Pisces, it's we are searching for the truth with that there. So we're in a nice leg of doing that now, of searching intuitively for the truth, for our own truth. And it's where we will champion the underdog, because there are what we would call, you know, not that we're all underdogs to somebody, you know, when we look at life. I went through a lot of abuse as a kid, so somebody could see me not as, you know, so it wouldn't be as a victim, but there will be people that will help me and I will help people. And there are other people, you know, we're helping each other. We're all at different levels of helping each other. So it's also, you know, it can be a very spiritual or religious context with Jupiter in Pisces as expansion. What we have got going on though is that the node will be moving into, in fact, the true node. This is the true node we're looking at, because the mean node has already effectively moved in. And I won't explain what I mean by that, but the mean node, you can always Google it, has moved in. It's just a slightly different calculation. But let's see this node move into the sign of, into the sign of Taurus from Gemini, because it's been there for 1.5 years. There you go. So we've got literally on the 18th of January, it could be the 17th, but 18th, we can say that the node will be in the sign of Taurus. So again, you know, we're learning about self-sufficiency, we're learning about, you know, meeting our own needs as well. But in meeting our own needs, we make it easier for other people to meet their needs, because we then become a role model. You know, we're not being, but also we don't want to be overly self-sufficient where we're cutting people out and just being loners. You know, we want to work together at this point. With the South Node in Scorpio, we want to release any, you know, jealousies or just where we're overly hypervigilant and just, you know, paranoid and stuff like that. I've got this North Node naturally, North Node in Taurus and the South Node in Pisces, and sorry, the South Node in Scorpio. And I know that energy. I know what it's like. It's like, you know, you want to cling on to this suspiciousness, or, you know, just thinking that somebody's up to something that they're not up to. We want to keep going forward. And with Taurus, that North Node is about, it's, you know, it's to do with food, it's to do with land, it's to do with agriculture, and not the North Node so much, but the Taurian energy is to do with the land, it's to do with the 5 senses of the body. Whereas, you know, when we look at Neptune, it's to do, you know, the beyond this realm, the sense, it's not something we can sense, it's senses beyond this realm. But so we've also got station there of on the 18th of Uranus in Taurus, and we've had this square going on. It's coming out of a square. We've had the Saturn, which is restriction, square to Uranus. I feel in a way it's quite interesting because in London we were going through a spate where because of the Omicron, they were going to say we're going to go back into lockdowns. That never happened, actually. I have a feeling. My feeling would be that somehow, I don't know what's going to happen over the coming weeks, but we can see that energy now will begin to move off. So you can see stationary Uranus. So if we go forward on the 19th, the day after, this is quite beautiful, the 19th, the timing of this, Uranus will go direct after being retrograde for 5 months or thereabouts. And then you can see it's 10 degrees and Saturn is 14. So they're not going to meet again. They're going to meet one more time to what I think it's end of August or September. I haven't got the date in front of me. But and then also you can see that Venus is still retrograde up there. We will have, this is the 19th of January, we've got the Mars will then be heading into the sign of Capricorn. And we can see here that retrograde. So on the 24th, we're going to have Mars into Capricorn, and Mars in Capricorn is about ambition. Mars in the 10th house, more the point that, or the, you know, but again, you've got to look at your own chart because it's not going to apply. If Mars is in, like, if it's in my 2nd house, which it will be, it moves into my 2nd house, it's to do with my values again. So this is where in Capricorn, it's also where it's a battle for the top. You know, it's about a need for an autonomy, but independence in our profession. We want it our way. So that could be tricky, that, you know, that there may be another final push, because actually when we went into lockdown in 2020, Mars was in Capricorn. So this could be another push to try and for something to get something enforced upon us. You know, we have to watch out for that. Hopefully it quietens down a bit, but it's hard to tell, really. And Mars in Capricorn is where we will pursue our personal desires in a responsible and methodological manner. And it's also where we have strong ambition, but it could be where we are domineering if threatened. So, you know, we saw this in 2020. I mean, let me take you back. So just clock this, because I'll probably end this video in a minute, but this is really interesting. If we look at that Mars, and I'll take you back to, let's go back to the 15th of March, 2020. You know, life is improving, but we're going to have a push-pull, you know, there's no doubt. And so there you go, look, Mars in Capricorn. And what happened was that as we moved into lockdown, because I remember I had a flight to fly to California at the time, and I also got COVID like the week before my flight. And on top of that, you know, you couldn't go to hospital at that time. They were just saying, stay at home if you could breathe. It's quite hardcore. And then really the belief that you were going to die, because that's what we were told at the time, like, you know, far more on a bigger scale. It was very, very scary because Italy got locked down. And I'm not diminishing anybody's experience with this because it is real, but we've all got different choices what we've wanted to do with our bodies. The 15th of March 2020, free will and free choice. That's where I come from. So 16th of March 2020. So watch Mars moved over, I'm going here, moved over Jupiter, which was expansion in Capricorn. Then it moved over Pluto. So this activated that whole period. And then actually the day I was supposed to travel, there you go, it went over Saturn. So complete restriction there. Haha. God had different plans for me. I'm not religious, but I know God, if that makes sense. I know what that means to me deeply. Moon in Capricorn is where We see safety in being useful to society. So if we go back to today, which is the 2nd of January 2022. Well, I've got that right, which is great. So it's where, you know, that we want to feel useful in society, and we can look for justification in the outside world. So we don't need justification from the outside world in order to be useful to society. We may underestimate what we want for ourselves. So we need to make sure that we're not doing that. It's a new year, so do not underestimate. Set some intentions for the year and think about what you want for yourself. You don't have to make a meal out of it, meaning, you know, a long drawn out list. Just, you know, 10 things, 5 things that you really want for yourself this year. I want to build a website. I want to write a piece every day. I want to do, you know, continue 20 minutes exercise a day. You can make it really simple, but big changes. There's a few other things in there. We may feel shy, you know, but with this as well, there can be, with that moon in Capricorn, you know, that we might feel resentful if other people ignore us, but we just need to be grown up. You know, it's okay if we don't need validation of other people in order to get on with things. We really don't. We need to be the adult. And this is Saturn energy. It's like the mother, father, you know, whoever the parental role was, that's saying, where we have the inner parent, and where we speak to ourselves in a good, healthy tone, and we say, come on now, or we're loving, we pat ourselves on the back and be loving towards ourselves. And there can be a lot of resentment from childhood trauma with us as humanity. I'm shocked how many people have had just trauma after trauma. You know, we've just carried the baton of our ancestors one after the other. Not everybody, but a hell of a lot of people, or society has done it to us. You know, people have run businesses and they've just, you know, for years and worked really hard and just about being able to make ends meet. And then, you know, the whole situation with COVID has wiped out complete lifestyles. And for some people that will be good, because it'll be a completely fresh career, fresh start, fresh world, different people, new friends, you know, loss of family members, not from death, but from, you know, I don't take that lightly either, but loss of family members who are in complete disagreement about the health of the body, and, you know, taking rights over other people's bodies of what they should or should not do. You know, we know what we're talking about here. So do not seek approval from the outside, you know, so we want to get rid of ourselves, any self-doubts that are harmful to us. So we speak to that inner child and we assure the inner child. That's work I do with women on a meetup group. I do 2 free talks a week, not talks, we get together. I've got a meetup group. I'll put the link below the video. And, you know, we've got to trust our inner values and not be pressured from the outside. So whatever your inner values are, you know, it's okay. We don't have to, we can change as we go through time. But if at one point, this is our inner value and this is my value and this is what I believe is right for me, you know, it's okay to be with that. You know, don't doubt yourself. We can often tell, I found this, you know, if you sit with yourself quietly and you ask yourself a bunch of questions, like meaningful questions to yourself, and ask yourself, is it a yes or a no? Like if somebody said to me, you know, do you like going to the cinema? It would be an absolute outright no. It would be like, there's no question. It would be no, I don't like it. You know, do I like alcohol? No. Do I like tea? Yes, I love tea. Yeah. And I'm giving you really simple examples there, but feel into that yes or no that's internal in you, that is your yes or no. Don't just go along with things because you think, oh, you know, I'm doing it for other people. Do things for yourself. You know, this is your soul journey. So that you know, we may need to be dealing with a few adverse things that are going on at the moment, you know, because we're seeing it around us and it can be quite shocking with some of the things. It'll be interesting to see what happens when that Uranian energy goes direct, boom, because that is breaking free of limitations. And, you know, that could be more groups of people getting together as well. So we know finally with this chart that we've got this up here, all in Capricorn. We've got the sun is trying to Uranus at the time of that full moon, or new moon, and the moon was also trying to Uranus. So that's a nice energy. Mercury is conjunct Pluto at that time. So, you know, it's really a lot of analytical stuff going on there, because that Pluto is also, you know, but just thinking actually, Mercury conjunct Pluto. Let me see here. No. Have I got this? Oh, I'm reading the wrong one. Mercury, no, Venus, sorry, conjunct Pluto. Oh, Mercury is too, look there. I thought I'd lost myself there. So you can see just it's going on for out. So, you know, I felt really positive, you know, unusually so, actually more so in today than I felt for a long time. So, you know, we need to keep moving forward with what we believe to be true for ourselves. And if I look at that Venus Pluto, actually, Mercury conjunct Pluto, it's a conjunction that brings around chaotic thinking, and you know, it's because it's a subconscious process as well when it's linked in with that Pluto, to do with what's unconscious, subconscious, not unconscious, but in the subconscious that comes up. Venus is sextile to Neptune, which is quite beautiful, and Mars sextile to Saturn, and also I'm looking for Mars square Neptune. We could check that out. Mars square Neptune it can give us mysticism, and it reinforces in the imagination and fantasy, which can we can often prefer to reality. We know that much, don't we? We prefer to be out there sometimes with different thoughts. So the practical approach to life can be suppressed with that there, you know, it can be a bit suppressed. So we seem a bit, because that's moving on in, that's applying, it's got days to apply. So if we see 16, it would be going up to 20, and then it would be in a square there. So there's some tension there about with what's reality. We could get a bit, you know, maybe, you know, a bit lost in direction, thinking that things are one way, and then have a bit of a shock as well. You know, I don't want to shock anyone, but I'm not saying we're going to be shocked, but you know, things have been rather shocking over the last year, definitely, and pre that, you know, a lot of fear. So we need to come out of that fear. I'm going to leave it there. You know, if you want to join me in my ladies meetup group, if you're a female, then yes, do join me over there. Thanks for watching, and catch you later.